Hey, everybody, and welcome to AQ's Blog and Grill. We're excited today to have Dani Bazely here with us. And Dani is a VP Marketing of an emerging organization called Driverseat. And I want to know a little bit more about her as a woman in business and this new organization called Driverseat. Welcome, Dani.
Hi, Alan. How are you?
Very well. Thank you for asking. Dani, what is Driverseat and what are you guys up to these days?
So Driverseat is a franchise. Here I'm at the head office right now. We have 60 franchisees. We started out of Kitchener, Ontario. We have expanded to the States this past year. So we're growing across the States extremely quickly. And our business model is we have two business models actually. Chauffeur services, which is you can hire a chauffeur to drive your vehicle around, or shuttle services, which allows you to hire a chauffeur and a vehicle, which specializes in the 9 to 24 passenger space.
Oh, interesting. So who are the people that are engaging with the service? Who are the people that are calling for the chauffeur or the shuttle service?
So although the business model started as more chauffeur based, which was based on designated driving, so someone calling or ordering via the app later in the evening when they wanted to get their vehicle home, we've grown to realize there's a bit of a gap in the space of the 9 to 24 passenger vehicle, where on one end, you have big coach buses, and on the other end, you have Uber, and somewhere in between, there wasn't really a accessible and nationally renowned brand that could service you from that space. We do a ton of weddings, and of course, we have a lot of airport shuttle transfers, and from a B2B component, we do a lot of employee transfers, and we've worked with a lot of businesses on getting employees from space to space. If your factory's outside of town, how do you get people there? If you have a business that's not in a metropolitan area, how do you get people there to fill those positions? So providing employee transfer has become a bit of a niche from a contract standpoint as well.
Excellent. So the folks that are investing in a franchise, if I want to become a franchise owner, who am I likely to be? What kind of profile would you have in your franchisees?
We have a very diverse group of franchisees, and it's awesome because there's so many different minds and types of people within our franchise group, from couples who, they wanted to start, they wanted to own their own business. It's a fairly low cost startup because you don't require a brick and mortar. So to start the business, it's a low capital startup, and then allows you to build and grow your vehicle and your fleets based on the contracts required. So we have a lot of couples who have taken this on as the next step in their career. They have a ton of business experience, but they're ready to own a business. And on one end, there's franchises. There's a ton in the restaurant space, but for a lot of people who want a good work-life balance, they end up being in the restaurant most evenings. So, so for them, it becomes an option where they can own a business for a low cost, start a business for a low cost, and grow it, as hard as they're willing to work, and acquire those contracts, lots of business relations, lots of networking, and really create a nice lifestyle for themselves and their families.
You come from a communications program, a communications degree at Wilfrid Laurier University. And speaking of Chamber of Commerce, I understand you were recently the recipient of kind of a nice award recognition there. What was that all about?
So actually, I'm fairly certain one of my colleagues nominated me for this award. It was the first year that the Chamber of Commerce has changed the award from young entrepreneur to young professional. And although I'm not an entrepreneur myself, or yet I may say, but they nominated me for this award, and I'm only 24 years old at this point, so there's a long length of list of things I want to do in my career, but what I've achieved thus far, they were fairly proud of me, and they thought it warranted a nomination for the space to celebrate what I've done as a professional and a woman in this community.
Yeah, and there were like 600 or 700 people there for the event. It's quite something, isn't it? I mean, it's kind of a gala. And there you were, and were you surprised?
Very surprised. Once again, for anyone who follows me on any sorts of social media, I am a very vibrant colored person. I like oranges and reds and pinks. And I wore a navy blue dress because it was on brand because our
Mm,
secondary color is blue, and
right.
because I didn't think I was going to win. So I would have been showing up in a bright red dress if I really thought I was going to win. Yeah. But
Well, I'm sure it's going to be one of many recognitions as you move forward. So get used to wearing bright red more often,
I'm gotta
maybe.
go shopping, I guess.
Oh, there you go. So what does the future look for like for Danny? Um, you're obviously a lifetime learner. What do you like to learn more about as your career develops?
I mean, I don't want to put it in any specific field.
Hmm.
Marketing is one that I happen to have a bit of a niche for and a bit of an
Hmm.
eye, which is how I ended up in this space. But I mean, like I said, the culture is really important to me, and um, Renata Ruzniak is someone that I've always been really inspired about, and she's really passionate about organizational culture, and I really
Okay.
love what that means for an organization and that next phase, and always developing and because I want Driverseat to be a leader in organizational culture. So that for
Mm,
me, that's on the forefront of what's important to me from this organization standpoint. I also, I've really started to get involved in a not-for-profit space, and I'm working on several initiatives to continue to develop what that looks like.
mhm.
Of course, I am as a woman. I also belong to the LGBTQ community, so I have another intersectional aspect to my development there, where I know I can help grow the community and exposure and what that looks like for LGBTQ people in business.
Right, and I think you were
Mhm.
just appointed to a board. Is it the Spirit board?
Spectrum board.
Spectrum,
So
yes, of course. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
good.
yeah. So they're one of the initiatives. I'm looking at helping them do a brand overhaul to become more modern and to connect with a bit of a younger audience.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
I've been a fan of Spectrum for yeah, probably the last 5 or 10 years, and they do need some new approaches. So I'm glad
Mhm.
to see that you're
And they're
involved
very
in
open to it, and they're really excited because for a long time, and this comes from the history of the way the LGBTQ space is that people, they wanted to create a space that was safe versus creating a lot of spaces that were safe. And for me, it's about
that.
let's change the community. Let's stop asking the community to come to us. Let's change how the community sees us. And
There you
that's
go.
that's the way I wanted to change the mentality. And I want the next phase is that we come from a fairly diverse community, and we're very fortunate for that. And
Mhm.
I'm very lucky to have grown up in a space where the city is super diverse culturally and with the different backgrounds and all sorts of spaces. And I want to just further develop that.
Yeah, good show. So
Mhm.
that's really being a community based, but more in my mind humanity based, which is something they're kind of connected, but most people don't take it right up into that humanity scale, and that's how the world is going to get better, I think, Danny, for sure. So let's go back to your university career. Um, you enrolled in a communications program,
I actually was
and
in economics first.
and you were smart enough to get out of that, right?
I still have a minor, but
Yeah. Oh, wow. I've
yeah.
taught at that school for 27 years in the business program. And
Mhm.
fortunately, I was on the marketing and branding side of things. But my colleagues, some of them were economists.
Mhm.
Hmm, boring.
Not
Really?
very interesting applied to the right places.
Yeah, sure. That's very generous of you to say. So, what is it then that kind of sparked you, not just away from economics? Anybody would get away from that, but into the communications area. What was the driver there?
I always wanted to study business, and
Hmm.
I looked at lots of programs far and wide, and I looked at and I got into economics. I did really enjoy it in what I had learned in my obviously prior to university education. We had several
Hmm.
courses at my school, and I had a business piece there, and I loved what economics had offered me, and I loved the accounting part of economics as well. So I really started as a numbers person, and then I guess more of my artistic side came into play, and then I
Yeah.
started to study about visual culture and propaganda and pop culture, and how that's all affected from branding
Mhm.
and media. And those who say I went into marketing could say that I'm contributing to some of the bad things that marketing does. But
Yeah.
I think you can do a lot of great things with a positive brand as well as
Yes.
drive sales and growth.
What aspects do you see growing that you could use to advantage at Driverseat? Where are you going to go with your marketing?
So I think some of the bigger conversations that I've come across the last couple of years have been in influencer marketing, and it's
Hmm.
we've always all seen those older commercials, and some celebrity would come on and say, I use this product and I love it,
Hmm.
and that's that's just gone to the extreme now with social media. Now influencer marketing, someone who represents a brand fully online, they become the face of the brand, and that comes with some negativity, because if they do anything wrong, the brand is also tarnished. But I think to some degree, and not necessarily in every aspect of our business will that work, but at the end of the day, our franchise partners are going to become our influencers, and they become our marketing.
Right.
And showcasing them and what they do and who they are will be the most important next step for our brand, and that to some degree that is influencer marketing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you're local and regional. As you grow, now you've got 60 franchisees right now.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you going to grow? Is it going to be a geographical growth? Are you looking at the eastern seaboard of the United States? Are you looking in the, um, where are we going to see more driver's seat franchises?
So we're in Georgia right now, as well as Tennessee,
Oh, okay,
and we're currently working to from some operational standpoints. Every state has their own specific laws, so there's some
sure.
restrictions to the growth there, but it's really about finding the right franchise partner despite where they are, and then making sure that we can get it through so that they can grow and develop in that area. So
Right. Yeah,
yeah,
the scale is quite impressive. How you can scale in the U.S. versus Canada,
yeah.
but as you say, the name of the country is the United States. I'm not sure that they're that united. There seems to be a lot of separation between all the different territories and state lines. But
It's very interesting from being a Canadian-based businessman trying to manage into that space. And I
mhm,
mean, they're local. They'll be local franchise partners, and they know their area, and they know their state, and they know their space. But
yes,
bringing our brand down there from a
hmm,
corporate space has been a little bit
yeah. Well,
complicated.
it's going to be complicated. I mean, almost everything is.
Hmm.
But I have a feeling that your organization is going to be able to take that challenge on. You guys
Oh,
are really rip roaring your way into a great place in that category. Um,
hmm
who is your major competition?
at this point, and I'm sure there one day will be a brand who nationally wants to compete against us.
Hmm.
But right now, it's typically mom and pops in different locations. Someone who
Right.
owns an airport shuttle business and has owned it for many years, and they do that. Or someone who does specifically wedding transport, or someone who
Mm,
does wine tours, and it really comes down to a local region. And then there's typically some competition there in a
mhm,
transportation space, because
sure.
someone's serving those customers, just no one's perfecting it, and no one's doing it on a global level.
Yeah, cool. I would I would love to have you guys in the San Francisco area and do those wine tours up into Napa. Um, I'm not so sure that some of the suppliers there are, you know, not sampling some of the wares. Could be a little dangerous, but I would trust driver's seat. That's what I would do. I put my trust in your brand, which is important.
Yeah. Well, we're very excited. The franchisees here with us today are in the Niagara region, and that's going to be a
Ah,
big. They're
huge.
opening this May, so that will be a huge opportunity for them. There's a huge wedding space there, as well as
Yes.
wine and lots of tours in the Niagara on the lake space. Yeah.
Oh, love that.
So
Okay, well,
we'll have
Danny,
to get you set up with a tour then.
count me in. Put my name on a list right now. Danny, it's been great chatting to you, and I know you're going to do well at driver's seat and a lot of other things because that seems to be the kind of person you are. So there you go, and thanks very much for being on AQ's Blog and Grill.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, talk to you later.
AQ's Blog and Grill.